Yeah, I mean, it's something we spend a lot of time thinking about, and for us it's about, sounds a bit trite, it's a philosophy, right? So you can think about search in terms of answering questions, which is a big part of what search has always been. For us, we're focused much more on, what is it that the individual that's typing the query in, what is it that they're actually trying to achieve? So if I type in, sushi, actually I want to know whether, are you looking to book a meal? Do you want a recipe? Are you doing some research for a project? And if I can be better at understanding what it is that you're trying to do, then I can help you do that thing. So it's kind of like, I don't want to just give you the answer, I want to get you to the point where you've completed the activity. So think about if I'm buying a camera, you know what it's like, you'd be looking around, I want to see all the different features and specs. Well, what I want to be able to do in the results, and this is where the search and do comes in, is not just give you, here's the specs, but actually here's the specs, here's where you could buy one. If I could get you to purchase even within the search results page, that would be brilliant, because then all of a sudden I'm not firing off left, right and centre trying to get around these things. So it really is a philosophy around focusing on the individual, what it is that they're actually holistically trying to achieve, rather than at a very narrow level, they've asked me a question, I must answer the question explicitly.
Cool, so probably the unspoken crux of that is intent.
Yes, yeah. But in intent of the overall activity rather than the intent of the specific query, because they can be two different things.
Okay. So starting to understand better sort of what it is that people are actually asking for, because oftentimes people don't know, which is why we do so many different queries. So how does something like integration with social, particularly a Facebook, move the game forward?
The biggest change, and it's a subtle one but it's important, is it moves us away from relevancy and into trust. So relevancy is interesting, and relevancy is important, but it's fundamentally it's a computer-derived mechanic. It's a logical algorithm. There's a bunch of ones and zeros that spit out an answer based on a simulation of some logic. It doesn't really help you. I mean, it gets you part of the way there, but you have no relationship with those results other than you've requested them. If you bring in a social signal, so for example if I tap into your social network with your permission and bring that into the results so I can see which of my friends have liked the thing that I'm searching for, all of a sudden I've got a trust relationship now with those results, because I know the individuals that have said they liked it or made a comment on it, and knowing them I can then make a decision based on that, which is much more human to me, and it brings that human sentiment much further. So again, back to this principle of getting me to the point where I can do the thing that I'm trying to do. If I trust the results more, I'm more likely to be able to do that. So it's about this shift away from relevancy into trust.
Okay, and if we then start to think about ultimately a search engine, for the time being is there to derive a click, which will derive a cost per click back to the search engine. This is why we're in the game. Do you feel, if I'm helping somebody make a click, if I'm helping MSN, Bing, Google, whoever, Yahoo, for the sake of it, to push a click, should I be rewarded for that? Am I undervaluing my own data?
That's a really interesting question, and I think there is a business that's about to emerge from this socialisation of search, both for us and for Google, which is actually likes become valuable in this context. So I'm going to go out and, it's cheap to buy likes. I can buy likes pretty easily. I think the problem that you've got there, I mean, first of all, one thing that sort of almost marginalise the value of that from a brand perspective is, if I know you, I'm going to know whether you're the sort of guy who's going to sell his soul for the want of a like, or a free coffee or whatever, or actually you're not. And so again, back to that trust. If I know that Ollie's always going to sell himself out, you know what, I don't trust that as much as I would do from this other friend who doesn't. The other thing is, I think we just get much smarter about how that model works. I don't think likes as currency is ever really going to exist, and brands will have to work harder, that's all. They just have to think differently about what they do.
Talking about that likes as currency, do you think the market as a whole is focused on a bit of a red herring at the moment with the power of a like and the inherent value within it?
Yeah, absolutely they are, and you can see this in a number of areas, right? So I hang around with a bunch of social media lovies, right, a lot of the time, and for them it's all about, how many fans have you got, or how many followers, and all that. Well, that's just rubbish, right? You know, you might have 1 million fans. How many of them are you actually engaged with? How many of them actually listen to the stuff that, you know, it's a tiny, tiny percentage. So I think that we are, people who don't think it through, and typically it's people who've come from an old school marketing background. I think they're in that sort of, you know, we can build this audience. Whereas what social media, the potential that it offers is much more about proper, real engagement. And brands don't know what to do with that. You know, God, you know, all of a sudden I'm going to talk directly to my customers. Wow, that's a scary concept. So I think we're in that transition. And I think what will happen is it will normalise. So, you know, we'll cease to measure people's success based on how many followers they've got, or how many fans. It will be more about what do they do as a brand. And you can see consumers are already doing this. You know, if you ask most consumers who are social media active, you know, which are the best brands, they'll tell you. And it'll be the ones that they've maybe had a whine about on Twitter and the brands responded, or they'll have seen the brands that are engaged rather than the brands that are just marketing, using it as a marketing channel. And I think that's the thing that will emerge out of this. It's just a maturity, if you like, as to how social media can be used to create engagement with customers.
Splendid.